It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmick Voice. Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 7, Episode 17. I am here with my co-host, Chris Natalini.
What is up, everybody?
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone, to another show. Chris, how are you, sir?
What's going on, Mick? I am doing well, my friend. Doing well.
Good to hear, good to hear. Just kind of chugging along here. Chug-a-lugga, chug-a-lugga.
Chug-a-lugga. Yeah, man, that's it, bro. You know, just getting through. We're moving at the time of recording this. It's getting darker a little later. It's getting a little warmer.
It's all good stuff.
We're getting there, man. We're moving into spring and summer.
Oh, I can't wait. That's probably the highlight right now of everything. Yeah, I'm over this winter.
I'm over the winter. We had a good cold one. I'm done. Move on.
Goodbye to romance.
I'm over it, man. I'm ready for some nice weather, bro. Ready.
Yeah.
Ready.
It is a crazy. Just like this business we are in. It is crazy. Sure. It is a crazy. I was just watching a video earlier, before we got together for the recording today, regarding an AI online program, right? It's all online based, of course, like a lot of these things are now, you know, with the cloud type thing and all, where you can come in with a melody, partial songs, maybe just the chords. You put them in, you pick the genre, the style of vocals you want, all this, and it will generate a voice with lyrics.
Amazing.
You can put your own lyrics in with just a little bit of, hey, I'm looking for some ambiance sound here, female singing, maybe in this register, in this style, whatever. You don't even have to have your whole song. And it will put something together, and boom. I'm like, holy moly. Like, you don't even need a singer. You don't even need anything. I mean, it's crazy. And I'll tell you, from the samples that I was listening to, and this was a review type of thing, like somebody was talking about it, and I was like, my God, it sounds great. It really sounds great. The song that was being played was more in the pop style type of thing. So, you know, you have all those effects on the voice, you know, and that auto-tune type of sound and all.
Yeah.
But, man, honestly, you wouldn't know the difference. And if you're hearing that in a mix or in a playlist of other songs that you are familiar with, this song comes on with it, you know, come on, are you kidding me?
I know.
I just shared with you yet another thing that someone did with Kiss. They did Destroyer in a rockabilly 50s. Country 50s sound. You know, it almost had that Roy Orbison, and it was good.
It was so good.
It was so
good.
It's amazing. Now, I mean, people are going, oh, no, these tools aren't going to eliminate the artist. Well, they may not, because there's always going to be those individuals who want to do it on their own, and I get it, because you and I are that kind. But, man, it's a strong argument, like, why bother? Because the technology's getting better and better, and think about this. People that actually know what they're doing, understand music, theory, all, composition, arrangement, all that, learn this system, these tools, oh my God, it's going to be incredible. Rather than just having your 12-year-old neighbor banging out new songs, you actually get like some world-class producers and artists together, and all of a sudden they have this thing. It's like, whoa.
It's scary, though, man. It's scary because, you know, to me, it just takes the creativity out of it, right? I mean, that's why guys like you and I have been doing it for so long. You know, we have this creative thing in our DNA, and we need to create. We need to write, and we need to see something that comes from head to hands or head to paper. and then watch it kind of be born into something, you know, that we release and play live. And this AI thing, like, it's getting so crazy. I mean, you know, it's already hard enough to distinguish what's real and what's not when it comes to the internet. Well, now, like, you know, I don't know if many people can tell the difference, because a lot of people just see, you know, what they see online is what they take for reality. And I'm like, sometimes I'll see something, and with the AI, at least as of now in 2025, you could kind of see if it's a visual thing, if it's AI generated, if it's visual, you can kind of tell the difference. But listen, man, 5 years from now, I don't know if we're going to be able to tell the difference. Like, it's scary. That's scary to me. You know, especially too, because I just saw, this was probably a week or two ago, you know, where there were all these celebrities. They did this video where they had, I guess because of all the stuff that Kanye West has been said about the Jewish people, and you know, there was a video going around, there's celebrities with, like, I don't know if it was Kanye's face on it with, you know, with crossed out, or it was something to go against Kanye West. And it was all these celebrities. It was like Adam Sandler, Scarlett Johansson, Tom Hanks. And they were, you know, it was like this big video of like all of them kind of going against Kanye West and what he had to say. And then I read like a day or two later, I'm like, I saw the video, and I mean, these are huge celebrities, big names. And I saw the video and I'm like, wow, this is really powerful stuff. And then the next day I saw Scarlett Johansson come out, and she said that, you know, she's suing the creator of this video because it's not real.
Right.
It was all AI generated using all of her likenesses.
Right.
And I'm like, man, that's scary, bro. Scary.
On that same note, I was watching some videos that were coming into my stream on YouTube. You know, it was like quotes that apparently, like talks that, you know, Morgan Freeman was having, and then some other celebrities. And I'm listening to it and I'm going, man, like, when did he get involved in all this and talking this and that? And then to find out that these were just AI generated voice comparisons with someone else's writings. And I was so bummed out. I was like, oh man, I can't do this. Now I don't even know who to listen to. Like you were saying, visual, even now in today's date, there is something you can still kind of pick up. Right? But audio has been manipulated for years, and now the technology's so keen that it's just like, wow, this is crazy. So I think, like you're saying, the audio is definitely reaching a level where people can't distinguish one from the other. And it's, I mean, scary. The argument in that video was, is this going to eliminate artists completely? Some were saying, well, this is the idea, right? This is the perfect world idea of it, is that, oh, artists can use this as demoing their songs and trying to figure out what works best. And you know that's not going to be the case, though. You know that people are going to use it to figure out a way to...
For evil,
to monetize, to create other things, because we're already seeing it. We're already seeing it. So how do you know? I mean, there's been the whole debate, you know, surrounding like, what is Motley Crue doing? Are they using AI to fix or even to apply Vince Neil type vocals on these last couple songs? And my argument is who cares, because the songs suck anyway.
Yeah,
like, I mean, it's like, if they were great songs, would that make a difference? I don't know, but we're talking about things that aren't even worth talking about, in my opinion.
Now, let me ask you this, Mick, and I don't know if there's an actual answer for this, but I like the idea of, as a guy who is learning to do stuff at home, demo stuff, I like the idea of, like, writing lyrics and then trying to put for me being a singer, because I don't play any instruments, but I like having that spot where I could put something in a program and go, oh yeah, like, okay, if I stick to this melody, then I could take it to my band and go, you know, this kind of works. And like, I kind of like that little bit of a freedom, like some home research kind of thing. Like, that's kind of cool. But let me ask you this. So if you take something, if I write lyrics and put it to a song on AI and release that song, are you getting into some like stealing?
Yes.
Copyrighted?
Yes.
So you are,
and no.
right?
Well, here's the thing. So they tell you, according to what I watched, but then I did some additional reading because I was curious about it. I'm like, yeah, because I had those similar questions as well. Some of these services, they have a basic free service. Okay. However, you can't use it for commercial use. Okay. So they own the copyright. So basically, even what happens is, if you put the music in, your own music, that becomes their property as well. So there's a little loophole that you lose your stuff. if you utilize this service.
Gotcha.
And then they have paid tiers. If you use their paid tiers, you can do so many songs a day or month or however you have it worked out. And then there's level of copyright that you can then use these for commercial,
Gotcha.
Whatever. However, the long term of that, I don't know how that works.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I write my own music. Most of the time I write my own lyrics. I do my own arrangements. So I'm not using that. I've been burnt with copyrights years and years ago. I shared copyrights that fearing that, let's just kind of cut it down the middle and stuff. It's the worst thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
Like, if you put your time in, they're yours, baby. But I have material, unfortunately, that I pretty much did the work on, but at the time shared copyrights with everyone in the band, whether they did something or not, most of them not, but I have to jump through hoops to get use of. And there would be songs that I would love to redo. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I won't even touch it. I'm not even going to go through that headache.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that, to me, would be the long-term big issue. What happens when you stop paying the monthly fee or the yearly subscription fee? What happens to that material? What happens to that material once it's out there? Do you have to then pull it? Say it was super successful. Say it actually does hit a Billboard Top 10 and you stop paying what happens? I know that sounds silly, but at the same time, that's a headache that you're not even aware of.
Yeah.
You can't even figure that out. So why bother? I get it. I kind of, and I've talked about this before on the show. The idea of using some things as demoing, like, oh, that's kind of cool. Listen, when I'm demoing stuff here in my home studio before I present it to the band, I mean, I use drum loops, I use clicker tracks so that I can kind of fill in the space. Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of just like, well, here's a guitar riff. I've had guys in bands go, here's a guitar riff, figure something out with it. Like, what? Really? Like, you have any sheets on this? Or is it, like, when I pass the song off to my drummer and I go, listen, this is just pretty much straightforward drum loop here. But if you can get past that and you can hear where the ups and downs go, and that's where I think that human touch, to quote Genesis, really does offer some major difference in the life of a song, the creation of a song, right? And again, maybe that's because I'm not of the ilk that is being bred on AI. It came from someplace else where I feel that human interaction, that human component is key. But at the same time, I mean, nowadays, if you're doing in-the-box recording, you're generating some type of computer assistance, whether it's sound waves or delay or effects. And I realize they've always been there. Well, then, we've always done some level of it. But to this extreme where it's taking out the process where you don't even have to create anything. You can come up with a title of a song and say, oh, I like to do it in the key of A.
Yeah.
In this style. Well, now this thing is creating this all on your own. Somebody else or something else is doing it. So are you really an artist? And how many artists are going to get tired of just doing what they're normally doing and then they have AI do it?
Yeah.
It's pretty much cut down the middle. I see people embracing it and saying this is the greatest thing. And then you have the other side that's worried about it taking us over and eliminating jobs. And could it eliminate jobs? Absolutely. Anytime automation starts, jobs are lost. It happened during the 70s when computers became more and more a part of business functionality. Departments were cut, so on and so forth. We've heard, the downsizing over the past 25 years. It's because automation is doing most of the work for us. So you only need a few key people to make sure things are running smoothly, rather than before you'd have, 15, 25, even 100 people in a department, and each had a specific job. It's just, I guess that's the way of the world. So why wouldn't it be the way of, like you're saying, TV, movies, special effects, music?
Yeah. And we're human, so guarantee we're going to be using it for, evil, because that's what we do. That's what we do. It always ends up being, something really cool to help things along. Somebody will use it to screw somebody else out of money, because that's how we do it. That's how we do it. And of course, it'll be the music business, because the music business is just a disaster.
And there you have it.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if you've been watching or following, Billy Corgan's new show.
I have a little bit.
Okay. He interviewed Sharon Osbourne, which was really cool. It was like an hour long. It probably could have been 2 hours because she had a lot of stories. But he's a really great interviewer. I don't remember the context of the conversation, but he had said something, and Sharon was just like, "I'm just tired. I'm just tired." She's like, "I just want to play with my grandkids and live out these, last years, golden years of my life." And they were talking about the music business. She said, "I'm just tired." And I'm like looking at her. I'm like, "Man, I feel your pain, Sharon. I get it. I feel it on this level. I can't imagine how she feels on her level." But she was saying, she had made a comment about how bad the industry is and just how bad it is. And she's been dealing with it for a number of years. I was like, man, I feel that, Sharon. I feel your pain, honey. I do. I get it.
Yeah, I wish I could feel that bank account, but I do feel the pain.
Well,
and it's
yeah,
a lot different.
Listen, that helps. That helps.
That definitely helps ease that pain. That and another face surgery. But man, it's tough out there. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, there's an expiration date on all this for people. At some point, that's part of the human condition, right? You either mentally just disconnect and go, nah, this isn't for me anymore. I mean, like, I'm tired of playing this game. I don't care how many hotels I have or whatever. I'm done. I'm walking away. There's some nobility in that, especially if you come to that decision, and go, hey, you know what? I don't need this anymore. There's something else. And that's okay. And we talked about that. That should be your decision, not a decision based on, somebody pushing you out. Because you're always going to have people pushing you out. You're always going to have the naysayers and the people that you don't fall into that clique and all that kind of stuff. And really, cliques are nothing to me but a bunch of followers. It's the people that are usually misunderstood and on the outer edge. They're the ones that are making the difference or taking the chances. Oftentimes, especially, everybody loves to be in the peanut gallery and an armchair guitar player, drummer, singer. And they tell you this and they tell you that. But you put yourself out on the chopping block. I think we've talked about this before. And then come talk to me. Come talk to me. Play to a room of people and nobody's responding to you. And then maybe they're walking out on you. Or you're playing in front of nobody, but you still have to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or, all the bad things that could possibly happen during that time or whatever. And then there's the good stuff. But the point is unless you've done it, who are you to talk about it?
Yeah.
Or at least put other people down because of it. You got a lot of people that think they know, but they really don't. They talk about it. They associate themselves with, just because... Listen, and fans are great, you need the audience for sure. But, we're players and an audience all at the same time. But you have audience people that love to talk about what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. We played a gig, you and I, along with some other bands at one point, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And the posting the following week was like, the guy goes... Yeah, great set. Like, not to either one of our bands, to another band. Great set, but, it's getting tired. We need something new. We need this. You guys should be doing... Like, what? Like, who are you? Were you up on stage? I mean, I don't understand. Like, what gives the right to some... It's like you go into somebody's job and go, hey, man, it's time to get somebody... And I know it happens, right? They push people out, but... It's like, you don't want to hear that. Like,
No. And what right does anybody, what right do people have to tell you that? I mean, sure, they have an opinion, but keep opinion yourself. Like, why would you tell me, why can't you just say, hey, good set? Why do you have to say, hey, good set, but? Because when you say but, your compliment means nothing.
Yeah, you just negated everything that you led up to. You know what I mean? Now you're ready to slap me in the face pretty hard. You warmed me up.
Yes. Correct.
I don't know. It's crazy, man. It's crazy,
man.
It's just crazy. All right, let's get into the topic. And I think that maybe some of this conversation will lead into the topic. More than just the music, how much more does an artist need to do to be successful? How much more does an artist need to do to be successful? And honestly, the way I've been feeling lately, I can't even tell you. And we have a show to tell musicians what they should be doing. So I may not be the person to listen to. So I'm going to pass this to Chris. What do you think, buddy? What more does an artist need to do to be successful?
I instantly think back to our very first episode. What is the meaning of success? What is success to you? Is it Kendrick Lamar's success, or is it success on our level? Is it success to do a little tour? Is it success to open for some national bands? Like, whatever that is to you, I think that bands are just going to use the higher echelon of artists and bands. I mean, look at everything a lot of these artists do, right? Like, they get into clothing lines, they get into, making their own wines or beers, or selling their catalogs so they can be used for, cell phone commercials or car commercials, like, whatever they want to do, like, because unfortunately making money off of music is just not where it's at anymore. I mean, it hasn't been for a long time, which is why a lot of these artists go outside of their realm to do other things to make more money, or to make money, really. But I think on our level, I think there is a number of things to do to try to be successful, man. I mean, obviously, there has to be other things than getting your music heard, because getting your music heard in 2025 is such a hard thing to do, because there's so much music out there, so much information, and you're constantly competing every day with a million artists online. Like it or not, I don't know what people's opinions are. I am a Spotify subscriber. I have been for a very long time. I don't get into that whole, ripping artists off. I shouldn't be subscribing to it because of what they do. Because listen, everything we do, everything we drive, all the places we work, all the places we support, somebody's getting ripped off. It's just the way of the world. So my, $13 a month, and to be honest, my Spotify is really done for podcasts, honestly. I mean, I do listen to music on my Spotify, I'm not gonna lie about it. I use a lot of my Bandcamp stuff I'll download to my phone, so I always have Bandcamp stuff on my phone. But my point being is that there are other things to do. You kind of have to look outside the box. You have to, because getting your stuff out is so hard right now. I know you, and I know you, Mick, so I'm not speaking out loud because you got me involved in it also at the time. You and I were involved in a clothing line. We were sponsored by a clothing line from overseas, which was very cool at the time. I was super happy to be involved, and it was a really, really cool thing for me, especially because they did like a lot of horror shirts. So I was very proud to be a part of that, and I don't know what it did number-wise. Like, I don't have that answer, but it doesn't matter because it was something cool. It was something outside the box that I got my name and face on. Mick, you and I also were involved in a book, which put our name out there. Online radio stations, getting your music heard, doing interviews. I think that's super important to get your music heard. And what I want people to realize is these things that I'm mentioning may not be bringing in thousands of people, but if it brings in a handful of people that have never heard your stuff before or are familiar with you, then to me, that's a win. It's a total win. Definitely more of a win than buying listens or buying shows. And here's another thing too. You and I were talking off the air, and I'm not going to get deep in the woods. We were talking about a band that was, paying to get on shows. What's the return of that? I'm not against what bands do. If that's how they want to do it, then that's great. I have no problem with that. But what does it get you? Does it get you anybody, or is it just empty, or are you just throwing money away? You and I had a podcast recently, where we talked about, spending money and doing the right thing and trying different things when it comes to kind of, paying to play or whatever. And me and a friend of mine were talking about this pretty recently when him and I went to see Lamb of God and Pantera last summer in our area. There was an opening band. Now, I don't remember that opening band, and this is the most important thing. I don't remember that opening band, but they paid to get on that tour. I think they paid for like 3 or 4 shows. So when you're on a show like that, and I don't know how much money, and it doesn't matter how much money, because if that's what they wanted to do, then God bless them, more power to them. But when you're playing with Lamb of God and Pantera, 2 of arguably the biggest metal bands of our time, how many people are going to walk out remembering who you are? So is that money? Did you just throw that money away? I mean, listen, I'm not gonna sit here and say if I didn't have the money and I had a chance over for Lamb of God and Pantera, I'm not doing it. I am doing it. But point being is, you're going to spend that money, and are people going to remember you when the concert's over? Probably not. I don't know how many shirts they sold. Doing more than just playing music is very important, because music isn't the only way that you're going to get your stuff heard. You got to get out there and do other things. You know, selling your music to an indie movie. I mean, that's a way. I know a couple bands that have done that. You just kind of have to just be creative and do other things, and not just stick to social media and hoping that streams are going to get your band heard, because unfortunately it's just not the way of the world anymore.
Again, like when I started out, when we announced what the topic was, there's times anymore I feel like I have no clue, none. And I'm not afraid to say it. And that doesn't
100%.
necessarily diminish my position or what I've been doing, or because I have made certain leaps and bounds being an independent, indie, in the trench type of band or artist. You know, going outside the box has always been something, and that's a term I can't stand to begin with. I've always said that. But we'll use it because it's notable in the sense that people understand what we're talking about. I've done that quite often, taking different paths or channels with the idea that I'll get more exposure for the music by taking this other path, getting involved in some other things. Like you said, certain endorsements or certain sponsorships, going a different route in terms of, like, I know one year we were working with a craft brewer. A little before the craft brewing started to really explode. But we thought it was a cool idea, and we did it for one of the holiday seasons. We had the Merry Metal Cheer line, which was like we had a wild card, and I forget what the other one was. I really don't remember. I'm not a drinker, so I didn't know if it tasted good one way or the other, but people said that it was pretty good, and it was a limited thing. We sold some stuff, like little 6-packs and 4-packs that were shipped out and stuff like that. And it was just a way to get the music out there. I think we had some, at the time, like if you bought, you got a free download of a couple songs, including the holiday song of that year or something like that. So it was kind of cool. They had labels done for the bottle and all. And like I said, it was short-lived, nothing too fancy, but it was an interesting thing to be involved in. We had some of our music put into some independent films, which I think went absolutely nowhere with no showing. But hey, you know, we did that. I did that with another band that I was in the 90s, but the music wasn't used until like 2008, 2009. The music was discovered and someone reached out and says, hey, can we use a snippet or two of this song for a promo? I was like, yeah. And then they said, well, here's the rate and all. I mean, I said, yeah, just figured it was just like, yeah. But I actually got paid for it, which was even more cool. So I didn't expect to get paid for it. So there's things that can be done. I mean, like we've talked about in the show, like my band has gotten involved in comic books and commercials, radio ads. We did, for a store, we did a bunch of audio recordings that were played throughout the day in a loop about, you know, specials that they had. I've done work for coffee companies and record stores and pizzerias and a couple other things and stuff like that.
Too,
yeah, I mean, like, you know, I mean, I would have done it for a funeral home if they were going to do something for us. So I don't do as much these days because, again, things have changed. People are a little bit more conservative now than they were pre-COVID. And I know that sounds odd to say, but the climate has changed. And this country, this world has gone through so many different things since COVID and post-COVID, politically, socially, economically. And I realize our show isn't around those topics. However, there is a trickle-down effect, a ripple effect, and it affects everything and everybody. So to say that it didn't affect music, how people did music, wanted to do music, what was ever, would be a misnomer. You can't overlook that. Why buying things now is so normal. Because like what Chris pointed out, you would think that it's far easier today to get your music heard than it was in 1987. The truth is, it's far easier to get your music out there than it was in 1987. However, to get heard now, it's not virtually impossible. You can put it out there, but are people really listening?
Yeah.
Chances are, so few are listening that it may not even be worth your time in the grand scope. Yeah, we talk about it one fan at a time. If somebody's listening, that's awesome. But if you're looking to make this a financial supporting type of career, it doesn't work like that. The numbers are stacked against you now. We've talked about that, about Spotify. The number system is stacked against you. I made it a case in point on one of our episodes some time ago that when we started this podcast, we had the option right out of the gate, day one, to monetize it. Start making money through third-party ads, whether it would be that the hosting agent that hosts our podcast would put them on, or we would do them, but we would get a certain amount for a certain amount. Spotify has now taken over the platform that we use, one of the platforms that we use, and to even get in the realm or the consideration to monetize, this podcast would never do it, because we don't put episodes out every day or 4 times a week. We do once a week, 3 times a month for only maybe about 9 months or so. We run short seasons. We spread them out because of our schedule and what we're involved in. We will never make those hours and or whatever other criteria that they have implemented to now get monetized. So it just doesn't make sense. And that's everywhere. It's everywhere now. So when the system is stacked up against you, it becomes almost impossible to get heard, and that the rules are changing so quickly. By the time you figure them out, they're already someplace else, which makes playing the game, if that's what you want to do, even more difficult. Like, you would go nuts. And I know that I'm not even answering the question that the show is centered around. What more do you need to do? Honestly, not sure. I mean, I keep saying keep swinging for the fences. Opportunity comes. If it feels good, take advantage of it. Play that show, write that song, release, whatever. I am a firm believer, more so now than I think I've ever, about doing it on your own, because the payday is better. And by that I mean the accomplishment and the success is all your own. It doesn't have to be shared. Whether that 100%. Involves you being paid, I don't know. That's however you structure the deal. But when you're getting in partnerships with other distributors or labels or PR people, unless you are 100% invested in your time and
it's
effort,
Russ the Boss.
you're watching your
Johnny D from Brittany Fox.
It's a crapshoot.
Stephen Pearson from
Chris has
Rat,
experienced
the Rat
it. I've
Bastard.
experienced
You're
it,
listening to a
because no
Cosmick
one's going to care
Voice.
as much as you. So if you're going to do the same amount anyway, do it on your own. If I have to say anything, that's what artists need to do more of to be more successful. Get out there and do it on your own. That's what labels want you to do anyway. They're not interested in developing you. They're going to try to pick you up if you're already doing it. If you already have numbers, well, then you have something to come to the table with.
Yeah.
Right? But if you don't,
you
can't expect someone else to come in and develop. It doesn't do that anymore. And if they do take you on, more or less, they're going to expect you to put money out for every step of the way. And if you're going to do that, why pay somebody else? Because you don't know if you're going to truly get your money's worth. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to get your money's worth. And chances are you're probably overpaying because it's just short-lived. So if you're going to do that, do it yourself. Do it yourself. Take on the debt. If there is a debt, take on the responsibility, because there's tons of it. But the flip side is you take the success, you take the accomplishment, you take the knowledge with you to be able to do it again. Because when you rely on somebody else, guess what? You're usually in the dark and you're waiting around and nothing ever happens. Nobody ever flicks that switch on. Because if that was the case, you'd have tons of breakout artists all the time. I was just recently on a podcast for my other life, and I was asked, what would you change in the music industry if you had the power to do that? I've heard that question a lot, and I've seen other artists being asked it as well. And I said, well, that's a tough one. I go, because the music business is tough. I go, but the truth is, it's always been tough. The artist has always been last in the line. They've always been taken advantage of, thrown out. But if there was something that I could change, it would be the opportunity that an artist or band could be plucked out of obscurity, because that doesn't exist anymore. To say that it doesn't exist, I'll refrain that, is that it's so rare that it seldomly ever happens. Where years ago, it was a little bit more common. Why? Because labels, producers sent out scouts to find people, to look for bands. Interviewing people for a project that I'm currently involved in about Philadelphia. After Cinderella was signed, there were scouts here like mad. 86, 87, 88. They were all over the place in the Philadelphia area, the Delaware Valley, right?
Yep.
They don't send out scouts anymore. There's no interest in developing anybody. What I'm saying is, to me, I think the most important thing that you could do to be more successful is start doing more on your own.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You're learning the process. They're expecting you to do it anyway. I think season 1, we talked about artists are expected to wear 150 different hats today. You're an accountant. You're a songwriter. You're a producer. You're a musician. You're an artist. You're a videographer. You're a photographer. You know, now you got to be an AI expert and so on and so forth. A branding expert. You got to be a social media guru. You have to understand the technology that's already 3 months past date. Outdated. Yeah. It's that kind of thing. So how much time does, and you have to be a performer, you have to be a sound engineer, you have to be so on and so, a negotiator, you know, a manager, a booker, a hairstylist, a clothing designer, a makeup artist, so on and so forth. I mean, it's crazy, right? Shirt designer.
Yeah.
I mean, so where does it leave time to become a better songwriter, to write better material, to release better material? Very little, right? It's probably 12% of the, if you're lucky, of the 100%, where branding is like, you know, 40, 50%, 60% of what you need to do, followed by some control of social media, 25%. I mean, I'm probably already over the 100%. Do more on your own, learn more on your own, get more of the success and the accomplishment on your own. Again, does that mean that you're going to get a big paycheck? Probably not. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But that expectation should be removed as you're building your better product, your better brand. That's my opinion, and good luck to you.
You are listening to the Cosmick Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
I agree, bro. I agree. And, you know, it's one of those things where, like, if something comes across your desk and you feel comfortable with it, your gut tells you, try it. Like, if you're not losing anything, maybe a little time, who cares? Just try it. Try it. It's not gonna, I mean, it's not gonna hurt. You know, going back to what, you know, you and I with that clothing company, didn't hurt a thing. I had to buy a couple shirts. I buy shirts all the time, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Took a couple pictures, had to tag them once in a while. No big deal. No big deal at all.
Listen, opportunity exists everywhere. It really does. A lot of people miss it because they get tunnel vision. And they go, well, that's not the way I'm supposed to do that. Especially in music. You know, oh, that's not my genre. Or they don't do that in my genre. Do you realize that the most successful people in whatever walk of life, whatever path that career that they chose, were usually the people that were misunderstood? And if you're worrying about being understood or accepted by everybody all the time, you're not cut out to be one of those people to stand out. Because being an artist means you're standing out. You're putting something out there. Like we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, there are people that love to be armchair guitarists, singers, songwriters, and they've never done it. But they know, you know, armchair quarterbacks every Sunday. But what does that mean? You know, but we put so much stock into that hot air that we hear. Just get out there. Just do it. The road to success is, whatever success that is usually muddled up with a lot of missteps. But each misstep is a step closer. Now, Chris and I joke often that for every step in the music business you take, there's 6 that you wind up taking back shortly after. But you're still making steps.
Yeah.
You know what
That's
I mean?
right.
If you can see it, then you can get to it at some point. The speed to which you get to it, well, that's determined by what you do or how much you want to do. I don't want to do anything anymore, so the speed has gotten to be a dead stop. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
But
I do.
at the same time, I can still see it. And that may change over the years. What you see, how you see it, how much you really want all this or all of that. Maybe I'll take this now or take that. Look at it any way you want. But again, if it's you making that decision and you reaping any success and or accomplishments that come your way, well then, what's wrong with that? That way, you're not pigeonholed into something, you're stuck into something, you're waiting for something that's never going to happen. Chris pointed out a couple episodes ago with the label that he was working with one time that they release something one day regarding, the release of a band's new album, and then you never hear from it again.
Nope.
Because they're already on to the next thing. That thing hasn't even happened yet. It hasn't even truly broke. Again, back in the old days with the development deals and how they would build an artist's career or brand, I mean, sometimes those songs that would release would kind of muddle around for a while and slowly start to build up the charts. You don't have that. Nowadays, you have songs that all of a sudden they break in the top 10, they make that top 5, maybe they hit top 1, and then they're gone. There's no up climb, no down climb.
Nope.
Nobody does that up climb anymore.
Nope.
It's like right out of the gate because they're all paying for it. They're making sure it happens so they can get their numbers, and then it disappears. I mean, we're having that constantly in the music business. Are you going to hear a lot of these top 10 hits 20 years from now, like you're hearing from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s? The 80s are still one of the biggest selling music eras on radio everywhere. So keep swinging. What do you think, bud? You got anything else you want to add?
No, man. No, I don't. I think keep swinging is a perfect way to end the show today. But I agree, man. You just got to keep moving forward and fighting the fight and figuring out what's best for you. And you and I said this on our very, very first show, and here we are repeating it.
Absolutely, man. It's a step-by-step process, and you're learning as you go.
Yeah.
It really is a lot of trial and error. You've been in the business for a lot of years, and this is way different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Things are changing. As you change, other things change, and as things change, you have to change if you're going to stay in the game. It's inevitable. It's a shame, but that's the way the things work. Things are going to progress, so keep swinging.
Yeah.
Do more if you can. Look for opportunities everywhere because they do exist, and you may be surprised at what happens. If you like that episode, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmickvoice.com. Step into the Cosmickverse and fill that void. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmick Voice. If you have a question, a topic idea, or something you want us to address, just contact us through our Facebook page at The Cosmick Voice. You can listen to The Cosmick Voice at Spotify, Breaker, Apple, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and at thecosmickview.com. Check us out on Facebook at The Cosmick Voice.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Mick and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes of The Cosmick Voice. And you can get in touch with us through thecosmickvoice.com and, of course, all of the Cosmick Voice social medias. Take care and be safe.
You're listening to The Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.